Hello, I am Judah Bernard with the Rise Creating Your Voice podcast. We are here on this Sunday to discuss Sunday Jewels on the Rise. We are happy to be here today on this Sunday, and just know that if you need us at any time, you can always go to Jules Mentoring LLC, or you can go to my Instagram too as well, the Rise Creating Your Voice. If you want to go back and review any of the previous episodes, you can definitely go to the www.therise and actually go back and review the episodes that we've already published. We'd like to thank everyone for joining in, because guess what? Self-sabotage and why we do it. And we have our lovely co-host, LaRonda. Self-sabotage and why do we do it? How are you? Z Money. How are you, Emery? Southern Breeze, Craig Kamwack. How are you guys? Good evening, good evening. I am Judah Bernard with the Rise Creating Your Voice podcast, the wisdom dialoguer and the motivational warrior of the Rise Creating Your Voice podcast. And we want to jump right into this topic, but we definitely want to introduce our co-host, Miss Rhonda. And we're going to understand self-sabotage and why do we do it. Go ahead. Introduce yourself, Rhonda.
Hey, I'm LaRonda, and I am the owner and CEO of Jules Mentoring LLC. Jules is a self-development agency, and I life coach adults and I mentor children. I also have my own podcast, Dinner and Dialogue. I am the co-host with Judah on Sunday Jules on the Rise. Y'all have to forgive me on today. I had a rough night last night. But
I'm just letting you know she done self-sabotaged herself already. No, yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, this is a great topic because I think people need to hear this. Z Money, how are you? Yeah, we're good too. Great topic. Emery, what's good, brother? I'm good. I look good. Thank you. Everybody, we're just here to give you this. What is self-sabotage? What is self-sabotage? It's actually when a person reverts back to an old behavior that once helped them cope with life. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people go back to that bad stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Well, you know what? Let me not say it's bad, because in their mind it may not appear that it's bad. So they go back to something that they thought that was good for them, and to help them cope with life. So I wanted to definitely put in some of the caveats is that what some of these things are and how self-sabotage plays an effect in it. How many of you guys have showed up late for appointments, especially big ones? You self-sabotage yourself. Being unprepared for an important presentation. You self-sabotage yourself. Staying out late the night before a big meeting or event. You self-sabotage. We're laughing. You self-sabotage yourself. Getting sick or being hungover for an important occasion. You self-sabotage yourself. Waiting until the last minute to start a significant project. You self-sabotage yourself. Cheating on diets or exercise programs. You self-sabotage yourself. Binge eating, purging, eating junk food. You self-sabotage yourself. Blowing off assignments and deciding what the heck I'm going to do. I'm going to just do what I want. Guess what? You self-sabotage yourself. Rationalizing bad behavior. They can't do what I do, or I deserve to have this. Cooking, beer, wine, time off. Taking on too much.
Ooh, Jesus.
Self-sabotaging. Substance abuse, clutter, procrastination. Self-sabotaging. Hanging out with the people who don't support you being at your best. What they call toxic people. Self-sabotaging. Lying, then trying to cover it up. Self-sabotaging. Cheating on your significant other. Self-sabotaging. And giving up on yourself, the why bother attitude. So we understand that most of this stuff is those things that you self-sabotage, but then again, when you revert back to an old behavior, do you really want to revert back to that old behavior?
This it. I see self-sabotaging is your default setting, if that makes sense. Like,
I like that. I
when,
like that.
when you get a computer and you download your stuff on there and then something goes wrong and you have to reset the modem or whatever and it goes back to its original form. So I kind of see self-sabotaging as you going back to your default setting instead of figuring out what the issue is to move forward. It's like it's your comfortable place. It's the thing that's most familiar to you. And even though it's familiar to you, being in that default setting, it can take so much away from you if you're not careful. Um, I see a lot of people doing it and don't even recognize that they're doing it. And the excuse will be, it's just me. No, it's not just you. It's just what you're choosing to do or who you're choosing to be because you could do and be better. It's just you choosing not to. I myself have found me in things of self-sabotaging, especially when it comes to like relationships. It's just easier to stay in the mode that you're in than committing and changing because commitment is not easy. It's a everyday decision, and some days you just don't want to decide to do it, right? But you have to make that decision every single day to keep from messing yourself up or those around you up. So self-sabotaging is very toxic, not just to you, but to others that love you and that are connected to you. So that's just my take on self-sabotaging.
Okay. So I think what we have to still understand that self-sabotaging, some ways that people realize that the big reasons that they self-sabotage is self-worth. They feel like they're not
Somebody
worthy.
said, somebody said, ask something, and somebody said, "Nah, you ask."
We're gonna bring people in. You guys just have to wait. We're talking about self-sabotage and why. Yeah, we're gonna let you join in a minute, okay? We're gonna wait till you. We're gonna wait till we get through, and then we're gonna bring people on the stage, okay? So sometimes you feel undeserving of success or happiness. In an ironic twist, some of the most driven people strive to work hard and aim high because they feel that they need to make up for a self-imposed sense of inadequacy. The one thing is, when the fruits of their labor lead to good things, whether it be a material benefit or increase in status or power, they make the situation worse for themselves. Why is that? Sometimes because basically they think they haven't built up their self-worth and they need to do so much more, take on much more, and sometimes that self-worth is not fulfilling. And they self-sabotage.
Yeah, I think also with the self-worth is right there with value. I think that when you learn your value, so much in your life changes. And it takes time to learn your value, especially if you have been trained in your mind to think negatively of yourself. You have these thoughts that you're not worthy, like you said. So your self-worth and your value brings about so many changes where you don't allow yourself to self-sabotage a lot.
Right.
And like you said, I do believe that it's when you don't believe your worth. Because sometimes when good things happen and you're accustomed to all bad things happening, you like, do I really deserve this? Is this really real? Like this is playing. So your mind goes to in a whirlwind because you cannot fathom that something good is happening to you. And so you go back to the old you, and then you put up these walls because it's your form of defense and protecting yourself. So you hide behind these walls. And so instead of opening yourself up to become vulnerable to accept that this could be true, you reflect back to negative. Because I know for me, the last few weeks, I've been reflecting on a lot of fear. And I'm like, where in the world is this coming from? Because I know I done overcame this area, I done overcame this area. But like for the last 2 weeks, it's just like been fear been cripping me. And I was like, oh my God, you can do it, unconsciously go back to that default setting and start self-sabotage because you feel like you're you're not ready or it's not time or whatever in that situation like this. So we really have to be cautious of our mind and what we're thinking to help and know our value to help us overcome those moments that we can, because you can go back instantly and not even realize it today, a few weeks or days later that you even went back to that default setting. So just be careful with that.
Yes, and also I'm glad you talk about open up yourself and be vulnerable. But some people just want that control because it feels better to control your own failure rather than face the
Mm-hmm.
possibility of it blindsiding you and taking you by surprise. Self-sabotage may not be pretty, but it's better than spinning out of control. At least when you're steering the ship, going down in flames feel more like a well-maintained burn. So some people just want to just burn. And the thing is, they can fault themselves, and they don't have to. They don't have to. They don't have to make it up for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that fear of I don't have control. So if I self sabotage and I go back to my own behavior and something happened to me, guess what? I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't nobody else have to suffer. Some of it is perceived fraudulence. I know this a lot. And just like writing for Winifred, she does like a toxic workplace. But as the bar continues to rise, you promoted to a new position or you obtain a higher level of education. You feel you only have further to fall when you inevitably come crashing down. If you call attention to your triumphs, it's more likely you'll be called out as a fake. This is otherwise known as good old imposter syndrome. We know a lot of people like that.
I worked for child protection services for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when working with those children, anytime they felt they were going to a house and they would do so well in this house. And and I'm gonna talk about, because I adopted a girl from I was her social worker from age 12 to 16,
Right.
and then I became her foster mom from 16 to 18. Then I adopted her at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the things about her is she would go into a home and she would do so good for like 6, 7 months. At that 6, 7 month mark, all of a sudden something in her head would just click, and she would do something to get thrown out of whatever placement she was in. And I had to realize that anytime she got close to a family and she felt like she was loved, that she would do anything to make them throw her out. If so she would be, because she was comfortable with not being loved, and she
Mm-hmm.
even did it with me. So it's those situations like that too. They pretend for so long and then they go back. Well, I don't know if it's pretending. It's like anytime that she got close to a family that wanted her, and the family expressed that they wanted to adopt her, they wanted to love her, that she would, about that 6 or 7 mark, she would just start acting crazy to get thrown out that house. But we put her in one house, and the foster mom was like, I don't want to adopt her. Do you not know she did good in that house for over a year because she knew that they didn't want to adopt her? But as soon as she finds a family that loves her, she will self sabotage those placements every single time from the age 12 to 16, about the 6 month mark, until I got her, and I had to I had to remain consistent and committed to her
Mm-hmm.
for her to break. So consistency does help with self sabotaging from another person, but you have to be careful of those people that cross paths with in that way, because those children in foster care, they do it a lot.
Yeah.
Self sabotage anytime they feel someone truly loves them, because they don't know the meaning of what love is. So their love is pain. And when
Right.
that love doesn't cause them pain, they self sabotage every single time.
Yeah. And mind you, I was a social worker too and doing foster
Oh,
care
yes,
too as
right.
well. So yeah, this is definitely something that has been ongoing for foster kids because basically, greetings, Maliki. Because basically they do self sabotage. I know
Mhm.
several kids, they just They act out a whole lot because basically
Mm-hmm.
they want to self-sabotage because it's been a systemic thing for so long. They don't know how to react when somebody giving them genuine love or genuine
Mm-hmm.
affection or genuine that they really want to just attach to them, and they don't know how to receive that. One thing is, another way people want to do it because they just want to be the handy scapegoat.
Mm.
If things aren't resolved because that's the only option, right? We can blame the action instead on ourselves. I'll be the scapegoat. That's why I self-sabotage. Yeah, we're going to bring people on, you guys. We're going to bring people on. One of the other things is familiarity. And you talked about that earlier, where people are just comfortable there.
Mm-hmm.
People are very, very, very comfortable there. They're comfortable, and it's sort of like they're consistent in being just right there. Even when they tend to choose consistency over our own contentment, if you're used to being or feeling overlooked, mistreated, or exploited, it's strangely reassuring to put yourself in that position. You've probably been there your whole life, and while you may not be happy, that which you know is preferably to the unknown. So, because what outside of you is the unknown, and what you know is you feeling and you're okay with where you are,
Mm-hmm.
you will stay there, and that's the familiarity about it. Some people
Yep.
go back to it for sheer boredom. Sometimes it's just boredom. They have nothing else to do. Why not I just go back to my old self? Why not smoke a cigarette? It's
That's
not going to hurt
true.
me, and it hurt me last time. So,
That's true.
so these are just some reasons. We're glad for some people to come on board to tell us some of your things. Come on. Definitely press the camera buttons and come on and have conversation about self-sabotage and why we do it. So come on in, Kai M. Hen Tracy. I don't see him in here. Guess he gone. Oh, there he is. All right. Had a little dry air time there, but we're good. we bring you on. How you doing? What's your name? Hello? I
It's
just got
buffering.
just gotta do something first. Oh, you just gotta do something first. Okay. He's still
That
buffering.
wasn't him. Somebody is buffering.
He's still buffering. How you doing, Keisha Carr? De'Ara Miller, how you doing? We're talking about self-sabotage and why we doing it. If you want to join in and give your conversation and dialogue about it, you can join in by tapping the button down at the bottom that looks like a camera. Come on in, come on in. We are in, we are in. You're still buffering. You probably need to update your Wi-Fi. Can you hear
I'm
me?
here. I'm here.
Okay, what's your name?
Keevan.
Okay. And where are you from? You're still buffering. He's still buffering. Anybody want to join in about self-sabotage and why we do it? Come on in, come on in. Why do we self-sabotage? Why do we self-sabotage? Let's keep it going, let's keep it going, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Why do we self-sabotage? Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Some other things why we self-sabotage. Let's give a list of things that we self-sabotage to. Going back to your old ex.
Yeah.
And you already know what's already there.
Yeah.
Some other things that you self-sabotage to.
Toxic work environments because you feel like you can have nothing better.
Toxic work environment. I like that. What are
Yeah.
some other self-sabotage?
Somebody said drugs.
Some other drugs,
and
vapes. Yep. That's the self-sabotage. That's right. Put it down in the comments. Name some self-sabotage stuff. Smoking.
Yeah.
Alcohol. And let me tell y'all something. I'm not saying that it's wrong. What I'm saying is, number one is this. We all have different bodies. And in our self-sabotage, just because somebody else smoke doesn't mean it's going to affect your body the same way. Alcohol, yes. So one thing is, why I try to say self-sabotage, meaning that only you know what controls or what happens to you in your body. Somebody can smoke for 20 years and never get lung cancer. You can smoke a day and get it.
Okay.
So I think what we really have to understand is, what are we doing to assess our own bodies, our own minds, and actually making sure that we're not self-sabotaging? And what do we need to do about it? I'm just going to say it's a 4-letter word. Just say QUIT, quit. Quit self-sabotaging. We know.
It's easier said than done.
You're right. You're right. You're right about that. You're right about that. It's easier said than done. Yeah, your internet is like not working right. But the one thing is, what we want to continue to understand is, why do people self-sabotage?
I think people, for me, it's just comfortable. Sometimes it's just comfortable remaining, even though you know that there's something greater. It's fear. That's the root issue. Is fear of the unknown, and you have to be okay with not knowing. And someone like me, it's like I want to know. Like I want to know what's going to happen so I can prepare myself. But that also stems back to a lack of trust.
Toxic friends is one. That's correct.
Oh, yes. So to me, like, I have come so accustomed to depending on myself, protecting myself, providing for myself, that to have someone else do that is foreign to me. And so in order not to not to trust somebody wholeheartedly, I'll reflect back to my default method, my default settings, because I don't want to be hurt. And so it's just like, it's wrong, because if I want to, be married, then those things that I'm doing for myself, those are my husband's things to do for me. He's supposed to protect me. He's supposed to provide for me. I'm supposed to, but first and foremost, Christ is the head of that. And so even with me having a relationship with Christ, these are the things that, I'm dealing with now, is removing self out the way to depend solely on what Christ needs me to do. To depend solely on Christ to provide for me, and me not building, and me not busting my butt trying to do it all on my own, because I'm not equipped to do that. Okay. And so so I'm not equipped to do all these things on my own, but because I'm so accustomed to it, and not just accustomed to it, this is how my mama raised me. So it's like I'm breaking down generations of walls that was built in me before I even know what these things were. Because my mom has raised me as a young girl not to depend on nobody, not to trust nobody, not to, you get out there, you work, and you do it for yourself. And so I'm having to break down all of these barriers to come out of that. But there are times when I reflect back to that, because that's all I know. And it's not going to be an easy break for me. And there are times I do self-sabotage, because my mouth can really overrule me a lot. But but I have to think, sometime before I speak, because it can really get me in trouble because of my default setting. And I have to realize that it's self-sabotaging. And it's hard. It's hard. But I'm better now than I have been. But I know for me, if I want to have the family I want, all these self-sabotaging behaviors is going to have to be dismissed, because you can't take these things into a new relationship. Because if you get a man that's a man and that he wants to do these things for you, you can easily push this person away if you don't control your default behaviors.
And I think how are we working on getting rid of those self-sabotage behaviors? Self-sabotage sets you up to fail because it reinforces negative behaviors that could do yourself harm in mental or physical way. That is so true. And that's what I'm about to get to is we know I know we do the fear of the unknown, but then again, what's the harm in changing your routine?
There is no harm in changing your routine. The issue is changing your negative mindset, your subconscious,
Okay.
because that's where the things lie. Even though we don't even realize it, our subconscious holds all those things that we was taught as a kid back there. And so it's not about you want to change the routine because you can kind of know what the routine is doing to you. It's changing your narrative of your subconscious and learning that you don't have to be this way. That there are people that genuinely care about you, that don't want to take advantage of you, that truly want you to be the best that you can be. But when you have been in a stance to where this is what you've had to do all your life, it's hard to let somebody in that space because you have done it. And so it's like you really have to stop and change the narrative to say it's okay. That your subconscious is what has to be reprogrammed. And once you do the work to change that narrative, then things will start to come easily. But before you do the work to change that narrative, it's hard. And I think that's why so many people stay stuck is because they don't do the work to change their narrative. They reflect back to what was instead of embracing what could be or what is, if that makes sense.
I totally get it, but I think still for me is at least trying to do a step process and get out of that because I'm in a health coaching institute program that I'm in, where they call that negative behavior starts. It's your critter brain. Your little critter just playing with you, saying, "Oh, why you need to go back there? You need to go back there. You need to do this. You need to do that." And then we listen to that critter brain.
Because it's comfortable. It's what we know.
But is it comfortable if you're sitting up throwing up after you drink all the time? Is that comfortable?
To them, it may be, but it wouldn't be to me.
I'm just saying, and I have to ask. Okay, you want to join now?
Yeah.
Come on up. Come on up. Make sure your camera is on. Come on up.
Because I do hear a lot of people talk about how, the drinking is fun. I don't see no fun in getting drunk and then being sick all day the next day.
Right. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Can we see your face?
There's no light.
Okay. So you're just in the dark.
Yep.
Okay, what's your name?
Kevin.
And where are you calling from?
Ireland.
Okay, Ireland. What do you have to talk about with self-sabotage?
I was going to say self-sabotage is all due to low self-esteem.
You said it's low self-esteem?
Yep.
Okay. Tell us more.
There's not really much to say.
It's just low self-esteem. That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, definitely we thank you for joining. You don't have anything else to say?
I like your glasses.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, how can they find you on Instagram?
You should give me a shout out.
Who?
You should give me a shout out.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you a shout out. Where can they find you on Instagram? And that's CAOIMHINTRACEY1?
Yep.
All right. All the way from Ireland. How old are you?
14.
14?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good looking out. Keep that good attitude up, and I know you'll go far, okay? And thank you for joining. Now, I know if a 14-year-old in Ireland know about this stuff. I'm just saying, why are these old people doing it? That was some good stuff. That was some good stuff. He said people have low self-esteem. I can agree with him, but I think more so Do people know they have low self-esteem?
A lot of them don't, because you can look at someone and you can tell that they have it, but if you ask them, they will deny it to the core. So I don't know if it's denial or the fact that they don't have it. Or the fact that they don't know that they have it.
Okay. So what would that be? Denial, or just, what's the word they
delusional?
Delusional. What's another word?
Not self-aware.
Self-awareness. Not having self-awareness. Some other things that it could be is just lack the knowledge of.
True.
Because sometimes people don't have that education. Some people don't have that awareness. Some people don't have that mindset.
True.
So we still got to understand what people are in their mindset too as well.
It's true.
Well, and Trevor, I wouldn't say they are ideally if they don't know that, because basically you're at 14 probably experience some things that some older people have not experienced. And we have to understand that everybody just don't think the same too as well.
That's true.
Yeah. So we definitely have to understand that.
But I think that we're in a generation where people now can't, well, they can, but it's easily detected when people say, I just don't know. We have too much knowledge that's freely given now for people to know. So if you really want to change and you really want to do better, YouTube University got all kind of stuff for you to learn from. So we're not in a day or age where people can't know things, because everything is just put out there these days. Podcasts are put out there to deal with issues. There's YouTube. There's so many avenues. People giving free Zoom trainings and seminars. So to me, if you stay in the mindset that you are in, it's because you choosing to stay there. It's too much knowledge put out there these days for that.
And I totally agree with you, but in it, what are some ways to not self-sabotage?
Become self-aware, self-evaluations, being authentic and honest with what you feel and who you are. Sometimes people don't talk about their stuff because they feel like they are the only ones in it. And I don't know why people feel that way, but sometimes people feel like they're the only one in this boat and they're not the only one dealing with these issues. And sometimes if you just open your mouth to say, this is how I feel in this, even if it's just for the moment, this is how I'm feeling. And so somebody can give you something that can help you overcome that hurdle if you will open up your mouth to say it. But sometimes people are so fearful of just saying what they are feeling because of pride or whatever the situation is. They hold it in and hide from it or hide it from people, but it's going to eventually come back up one way or the other in your character or your behavior or whatever. So I think people just being okay with being authentically who they are and growing from that place. And that's by opening up and talking, whether that be with, but I know a lot of times people don't trust people, but therapists are out there. You don't even got to go to an office no more to see a therapist. You can see a therapist straight from your home, just like we talking right now.
Right.
So you have to find those avenues.
But you have health and life coaches too as well, that they can talk to as well with self-sabotage, because it's something that you're experiencing. And that's one thing people have to understand. When you experience something, you can talk to a health and life coach, but then again, when it comes to a mental health thing, that's something totally different, where you need to see a licensed professional for that mental piece of it. But sometimes life experiences is somebody can help coach you through those.
Yeah. And and I have some people that I life coach, because I am a certified life coach. And when I talk to them, they see themselves in a very the way they see themselves. I'd be like, but you're not in a bad place. But to them, they are in a bad place. But when I start pointing out the good to them, they be like, wow, I didn't see it that way. Wow. And I'd be like, well, these are things that you're talking to me and telling me that you're doing. But you about to wreck your house because of, in your mind, you're not where you think you should be, but you done accomplished so much.
But they self-sabotage it.
Yes. Because of the way they think. And
right.
I'm just like, you are doing awesome to be, this, and this, but they don't see it. And then when I start asking them questions about themselves and where they are with themselves, that's where the issue lies. It's not that they're not a good husband or wife or girlfriend or father or mother. It's that they don't see themselves in the good of who they are. Mm-hmm. And they've never taken out time to just spend with themselves to figure out what it is that they want or need. And when I started pointing out those things to them, then it's like it just clicked, and they be like, wow, I am doing this. Wow, I am doing this. And I'm like, yeah, you are. So some people genuinely do not see the good in themselves. And because of that, they self-sabotage.
Because now I'm in my certificate, health and life coach. I will be certified soon. But I'm doing a whole 90-day transformation with people in health and everything like that. Because basically, and if you want a free 90-day thing, come on, DM me so we can talk, so you can go ahead and get this certificate afterwards and things like that. Because I already have two, but the thing is, we always need people to practice on and things like that. Not practice, but give some skill set and see a difference and see results. Right. When we talk with them and converse and have their experience with them. So I'm really happy for this time that I'm coming up to certification soon. As an ex-therapist, people are already telling me you should have been a coach a long time ago. I was a couple of coaches, but but I'm happy for this new thing, because I want the whole holistic approach to, number one, is look at it from a health perspective, life perspective, but then bringing spiritual awareness too. So
that's good. I'm proud of you. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, so
that's good.
I just want people to understand, until you start assessing what you're doing. And actually looking at what you're doing. And one thing I talked about probably in front of some of my earlier podcasts was catch it, check it, change it. And in that, Dylan, we was trying to add you. You didn't come on. I am trying to let them on. Hey, how are you?
Something.
How are you? I guess Dylan, he didn't want to come on.
Those are kids.
I know. Callum has to request himself. Tell him to put his thing down at the bottom. So at the end of the day, but I'm glad children are coming on, because I think I did not have this growing up like that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm just like, they want to say something. What I'm saying, I don't know what to say.
Right. The one thing is, I want children to come on, so I don't know exactly what their parental figure is teaching them, but this is good information so kids won't self-sabotage. How are you doing?
Right, good.
Okay, what's your name?
Lennon.
Lennon, and where are you calling from?
Wyoming.
Okay. You said lightning?
Whatever.
I didn't understand what you said.
So what is it that you know about self-sabotage, and why do we do it?
I don't have a clue about it.
What
does it mean?
I didn't understand them, so we got to keep moving. Make sure you have a clear phone and everything when you come on because it's important that we do that, okay? Thank you guys so much. And we just want to keep going. For those who need to come on, we're going to wave at you. Make sure that you join in. We are calling people on the stage, but give us some information about self-sabotage and why. Stop. 2 minutes. Make sure you tell us, why do you do self-sabotage? Why do you do self-sabotage? Before we get to the hour, we want people to come on. And I know self-sabotage, people don't want to tell the truth.
Oh,
I can't lie. Sometimes I self-sabotage is when I was drinking a lot of alcohol. Alcohol was my drug of choice. But then guess what? I had to stop for me.
That's true.
It wasn't giving me nothing but some throw up every so now and again. That I wake up and on my pill is throw up, you know. Not good. I'm falling asleep throwing up. Come on now.
Oh, wow.
Right. Oh, Callum coming on. Come on, Callum. I punched you in. Let me see if I punched you in. Yeah, you in. How you doing, Callum?
Hi.
How you doing? Where you calling from?
Ireland.
Ireland. Okay, what do you know about self-sabotage?
Well, like vaping and smoking is pretty bad, I guess.
That you smoking?
Like smoking and vaping.
Okay, smoking and dipping is a self-sabotage. That is correct. Now, you don't do that, do you?
Sometimes.
Now, is that good?
No.
And how old are you?
13.
Do they allow you to do that?
No.
Oh, you sneak and do it?
Yep.
Oh, now you double self-sabotaging. You trying
Right.
You trying to get a whipping for that, right?
Yep.
No, oh, you want a whipping?
Right, because he just told everybody online.
You know, everybody listen to this.
Yep.
So I hope they don't know your voice. I think you need to go tell your parents that you do that.
They're not in.
Okay. Well, whoever your parental figure is, do you ever tell them that you do it?
Once.
Okay, once. But you're still doing it and they told you to stop?
Yep.
Oh, well.
How do you get it?
I buy it from my friend.
You buy it from older friends?
Yeah, my friend Kevin. He was on the live.
Wait, hold on. Don't give us names where you get it from. Now we're going to have to report. I don't think we can call it Ireland. But thank you for joining. Make sure that you stop that self-sabotaging, okay? Thank you for joining. All right.
Bye, love you.
Bye-bye. Oh, gosh.
Blessed.
Yeah, people are self-sabotaging. And you need to know how you're self-sabotaging, but in it, try to at least alleviate or decrease the amount you self-sabotage. And what I want to do for those who are going to be listening to this on our Rise Creating Your Voice is basically number one is this. Start counting down this week how many times you self-sabotage yourself.
That's a good one.
Actually, start writing it down. If it's just a little marker you can put and say, I self-sabotage myself, but add them up. Then the following week, see how you can decrease that number. But you still do it. But sometimes when we start acknowledging we're doing it, you get more awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So some people don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. When you become more self-aware, it's like you can tell when something ain't right with you. And you have to sit down for a minute to think about like what's going on. Because I know that's how I was when I was dealing with the fear of the unknown. It was like something just ain't, something ain't clicking. Like, and then I had to think like, Rhonda, this is not good. You constantly right now, everything that's happening, you going strictly to the negative. Like this, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I had to stop and think for a minute and be like, you got to start back putting in the positive, because right now you are allowing fear to overtake your mind of what could happen bad instead of thinking about what could happen good. Because I know that's one of the things that I battle with so much in the past is I will always go to the negative, because that's, again, that's how my family is. Like they will constantly go to the negative before they see the positive. And that's one characteristic I don't want to have. I want to be able to speak positive and not always negative. So that's one of the things I hate about my daddy, is that he was a negative person. So I don't want to go to that, characteristic. I want to overcome that and change my negative to positive and stay in that positive mode. Because when I stay in that positive mode, I'm more productive.
Hey, what's going on, Maliki? You want to come on and talk about self-sabotage and why we do it? Because I'm going to go ahead and make some general announcements. Every month, every Tuesday, we are on Podbean, on the Podbean app under the Rise Creating Your Voice. We talk about, we want to celebrate May, because May is Mental Health Awareness. Also, every time Sunday Jewels on the Rise. It's every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jules Mentoring, don't you have something coming up too as well?
Yeah, I have a healing workshop encore coming up June 25th from 12 to 3, and it's in Oxford. So we're finalizing those details now. We just talked to the lady that's hosting it, because I'm not the host, but it's like she's paying me to come in and do it.
Okay.
And so I have to, yeah. So she wants me to do one of these workshops in her church every 3 months. And so she is the one that sponsors it, but it's for my business. So it's kind of like she's sponsoring me, but she's paying for it to be hosted where she is.
Okay.
So we just finalized the last details of that like this week. And so we're getting ready to get a flyer and stuff made for it. And so so I have to go by what she wants to be done, because she's the one that's financing it. And so we just finalized that, but I do know it's a healing workshop encore, and we're going to be talking about not the overcoming traumas, but how to master your trauma, the importance of setting boundaries and suffering in silence.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. And that's June 25th?
June 25th, from 12 to 3, and it'll be in Oxford, Mississippi, but it also, you can register and you can see it on live. It'll be live.
Okay.
From our website, Jules Mentoring, www.julesmentoring.com. So you'll have to go on my website to register. It's $10, so that's cheap for a conference. I'm in a workshop, so it's $10, and you have to go on my website to register. In the day before the event, then the lady that does all those things for me will send out an email with you and the password to get into the conference online.
All right, great. So at the top of the hour, we want to just thank everyone for joining. Self-sabotage, and why do we do it? We've named many things that we've talked about. We talked about some self-sabotaging stuff that we do. We want to thank all our special guest hosts that came on. And thank you for your knowledge at 14 and the young ages that we did talk to on today. Make sure every Sunday you come in live. Make sure every Sunday you come in live, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, with Judah Bernard and LaRonda with Jules Mentoring LLC. And guess what? We'll see you guys next week. And tell a friend, tell a foe, tell your spouse. Heck, tell everyone that we'll see you on the next Sunday Jules on the Rise. Good night.